71 days away from another Carolina kickoff, but Michael Haney, as us folks in the media like to do, we are always greedy and have to look ahead.
It's talking season, Derek. This is what we do.
And that's why you're here.
As Steve Spurrier said last year in regards to Casey Musgraves and the country song, we're just blowing smoke this time of year, aren't we?
This is why I bring you in here, because I wouldn't want to do this myself for 3.5 minutes. People at home wouldn't want to listen to me do that for 3.5 minutes.
I do 3 hours. Come on, man.
Again, another reason why I bring you here. Okay, so we look ahead to the 2016 schedule for the Gamecock football team. Clemson, East Carolina, SC State are the non-con opponents, and obviously the 8 conference games. There's still one remaining, though. And we've talked about it off air. Is it probably going to be a team that they've had some history with while Steve Spurrier's been at the helm?
I think he likes to do that. I think it's something where he is prone to want to try and stay within the region and stay within the area. He's been someone over the years that says he would rather be a guy that plays teams from North Carolina. Why it's been instrumental over the years. They played NC State several times. They've got the North Carolina series back in order, not just to start this season, but also to move forward in a few years as well, to at least keep that series going, because it is a border rivalry. It's one that needs to be played, and of course there's a history there between the administrations over the years and why North Carolina and South Carolina didn't play each other for nearly 20 some odd years. So it's good that that's back in the fold now, but I think we're going to see South Carolina likely, just because it's their history, stick regionally to the team that they wind up filling out that role. It's not going to be a Power 5 team. It's not going to be ACC for next year, but we've seen South Florida, we've seen Troy, we've seen teams like that over the years, and I think that that's where we may see South Carolina go for their 2016 schedule, unless Ray Tanner's got a surprise up his sleeve and totally gives us something that's unprecedented.
You mentioned battle on the border type things, and obviously with North Carolina, they've had that game a couple of years. But our buddy Josh Kendall at the State, who always does great work, potentially says that Duke or Wake Forest could be an opponent that South Carolina scheduled in the future. Do you make anything of that? Do you think that could be a game that South Carolina could play in the future?
Well, I mean, beyond the North Carolina rivalry, you're trying to look for teams that are in the state of North Carolina. Yeah. You played NC State if you're South Carolina over the years. Teams you haven't seen in a long time that you do have a history with are Wake Forest and Duke, and it's been a long time. I could easily see Duke, now that they've been better in recent years under David Cutcliffe, being a nice tie-in if you can get it. Depends on Steve Spurrier. We don't know what his future is going to be here in Columbia and how long it can take to get a game like that, but you envision a game like Steve Spurrier going against Duke, that would be a fun storyline for people, and Spurrier and Cutcliffe, of course, have a nice history with each other as well. So I could see that one. Wake Forest right now not necessarily moving the meter as much, but with college football schedules, they get made so far in advance, Derek, unless you get those big money TV contracts that can do something on a year-to-year basis. Things are made so far in advance, you can never truly tell what program is going to be good and which one is not. On a given year.
Right.
We've got Georgia and UCLA that have signed a contract to play in 10 years
kind of out of nowhere.
Now. Right.
So that's really interesting. So we'll see how that plays out. And you can't obviously look past Steve Spurrier, where he got his coaching career start. To play Duke, that would be obviously very significant in just that perspective. One last thing before we let you run. Obviously we've talked about, the potential of South Carolina playing in a Chick-fil-A bowl, or a Chick-fil-A kickoff, I should say, to start out the season. Is that something that Ray Tanner would like to bring for South Carolina football?
Yeah, I mean, over the years, we've had the opportunity to talk with Gary Stokan, who is the head of the Atlanta Sports Council. He's actually an NC State guy, as is Ray Tanner. And so they've known each other for a long time. The conversations have always been there between those two and been very cordial. It's always on the table between South Carolina and a potential matchup with someone in one of those Atlanta Chick-fil-A kickoff games. So it's not going to happen in the next 3 years. They already have games set up for the next few seasons. Right. But could we see something now that we know South Carolina doesn't have anything beyond Clemson in their non-conference schedule set up beyond next year? I very much think that it's on the table for them. But I also think that Ray Tanner likes the idea of being able to go up to Charlotte and be able to play a game that's very close by for his fans. Right. Atlanta's close. Atlanta's a fun destination and a fun place to go. I think folks would enjoy doing that once. But I also think that if they do neutral site games on a regular basis, it may be up in Panther Stadium.
Yeah, and one thing we do know, Gamecock fans will travel wherever their team is playing.
Absolutely.
We've seen that. There's no question about that. But for now, we'll continue just to count down the days until the 2015 season, and we'll get set for another Gamecock football season as Steve Spurrier now enters his 11th season at USC. It's unbelievable to think that.
It is. Can't get here soon enough.
That's right. That's going to be it for sports. Mike, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Derek.
We're back after this.